11:42 p.m., the Magnolia Grand Hotel, Chicago. The kitchen was nearly silent except for the gentle clatter of plates and the low hum of the dishwasher. Amara Lewis moved like music, graceful, steady, invisible. She wore the black and white uniform of a hotel waitress, her curly hair tightly tied, her face slightly glistening under the fluorescent lights. To most, she was just another service worker, but to Chef Liza, she was a melody unspoken. "You hum again when you're stressed," Liza said softly, wiping her hands on a towel. Amara looked up, startled. "I wasn't humming." Liza tilted her head. "Yes, you were. Billie Holiday, right?" Amara offered a shy smile. "It's just muscle memory." The past that follows like smoke. There was a time when Amara's name lit up a scholarship list at Juilliard, a time when her voice earned standing ovations in rooms twice this size. That was before the accident, before the silence. Her vocal cords had healed, technically, but her confidence shattered. Now she served cocktails to the rich who didn't know her name and didn't care to, especially not people like the Whitakers. The orders that cut deeper than tips. Table 7's asking for lemon water again, called out Marcus, the front captain, with an eye roll. And Andrew Whitaker wants the lemons sliced diagonally. Don't ask. Amara nodded silently and walked out. At table 7, Andrew Whitaker leaned back in his tailored blazer, one leg crossed. His smile was the kind you pay a PR firm to design. Empty, measured. He didn't even look at her as he said, "Finally, thought I'd age into a senator before this water showed up." His date, a girl who probably thought suffering meant not getting VIP tickets, snickered. Amara didn't react. She set the glass down gently and turned away. "You know, you all blend into the wallpaper. It's kind of impressive." Laughter followed. Amara kept walking. The whisper only one heard. Back in the kitchen, Liza saw her eyes. "You should sing again," Liza said gently. "You're wasting more than just time here." Amara shook her head. "Not anymore. That girl is gone." But before Liza could reply, the doors swung open. Marcus stepped in. "Liza, emergency upstairs. Gala tomorrow night lost their singer. Food and beverage was asked if we had anyone who could fill in for 2 numbers." Liza looked at Amara. Marcus raised an eyebrow. "She can sing?" Liza didn't hesitate. "Better than anyone in this city." 10:30 a.m. the next day, Magnolia Grand Ballroom setup. "She's what?" Andrew Whitaker's voice cut through the floral arrangements like a scalpel. The hotel's gala manager smiled diplomatically. "Yes, our scheduled vocalist caught pneumonia, so one of our staff offered a replacement. Chef Liza highly recommended her, Amara Lewis." Andrew blinked, then laughed. "You mean the girl who brought me lemon water?" The woman nodded politely. "She's classically trained, Juilliard level." He scoffed. "Yeah, and I trained at NASA. Look, this event is for charity, not karaoke night at Waffle House." Back in the shadows. Amara stood behind the service curtain, holding the black velvet dress Liza lent her. "Why did I say yes?" she whispered. Liza touched her shoulder. "Because you were born to sing, not to serve lemon wedges to boys with trust funds." Amara still looked doubtful. Her stomach knotted tighter than her apron strings. Just then, a voice called out, "Miss Lewis?" An elderly man in suspenders and round glasses entered the room. "I'm Martin," he said. "I'll be your accompanist. I heard you rehearse last night." Her eyes widened. "You were there?" He smiled. I was born in the same city as Sam Cooke. Trust me, I know when I've heard something holy." He pulled out the sheet music. "Let's make them hear what they've never listened to." The Table of Elites. 7:58 p.m. The ballroom filled with Chicago's wealthiest families. Crystal chandeliers reflected off tailored tuxedos and gowns that cost more than Amara's annual wages. At the center table, the Whitakers. Andrew adjusted his cufflinks. "I can't wait to hear this Amara girl. Hope she doesn't trip on the mic stand." The others chuckled. And then the name was called. A spotlight swirled, and the MC stepped up. "Please welcome to the stage, Miss Amara Lewis." Andrew leaned forward, amused. But when the curtains opened, he stopped smirking. There she was. Hair styled, black velvet dress, no apron, no tray, no fear in her eyes. Just fire. The first note. Martin struck the first keys, and Amara sang. Not like a waitress, not like someone from the kitchen. She sang like someone who had been buried and clawed her way out with nothing but a melody in her soul. Her voice filled the hall, clear, warm, piercing. Andrew's smile evaporated. Guests turned, stunned. No one breathed. No one moved. Because the girl they ignored had just stolen the room. 11:58 p.m. The Magnolia Grand Hotel, ballroom stage. The ballroom was dark, empty. Rows of gold chairs stood like silent spectators, waiting. Amara stepped in, clutching the sheet music with trembling fingers. Her black sneakers squeaked softly against the marble floor. She had stood on stages before, but not since the accident. Not since that night on I-94 when her car flipped and her voice was lost for 7 months. Even now, her breath still caught when she tried to sing above a whisper. Facing the silence, she climbed the stage. The grand piano sat quietly under the soft moonlight coming through the high windows. She stared at the mic. It loomed like a judge. What am I doing here? They'll laugh. Again. She sat, opened the music, closed her eyes, then breathed and sang. The first break. The note cracked. She stopped. Her throat tightened. I can't. I'm not her anymore. She stood up, ready to walk away. But she wasn't alone. A soft voice echoed from the dark back corner. That was E-flat, and it was beautiful. Amara turned sharply. From the far back corner, a figure stepped forward. Mr. Martin, in suspenders and a warm scarf, holding a cup of tea. Didn't mean to spook you. I often sneak in here to remember what real music used to feel like. Amara looked down. I'm not real music. Not anymore. Martin approached the piano. Mind if I play something? He began a slow, haunting version of Strange Fruit. The notes hung in the air like ghosts. Now finish what you started, he said gently. Sing it. Let the pain out. The voice returned. Amara took a breath. Her voice wavered, then settled. Stronger, clearer, like a river thawing after winter. She reached the chorus, closed her eyes, and held the final note. Silence. Then Martin whispered, That voice, it doesn't come from lessons. It comes from living through the fire and still being able to sing in the smoke. The deal made in darkness. He stood and took her hand. If you walk onto that stage tomorrow, the world will finally hear what they've tried to ignore. And if I fail, she asked, then fail louder than anyone's ever dared succeed. He handed her a velvet box. Inside, a vintage microphone pendant. Simple, silver. Etched on the side, let them hear you. 7:47 p.m. Magnolia Grand Ballroom. The room sparkled like champagne. Gold-rimmed glasses clinked under crystal chandeliers. Women in floor-length gowns whispered behind fans. Men in tuxedos adjusted cufflinks were thousands. At the center sat Table 1, reserved for Chicago's oldest money, the Whitakers. Andrew sipped his wine lazily, eyes scanning the crowd like a bored king. "Still no real entertainment?" he muttered. His date giggled. "Apparently, someone from the staff is singing. That'll be, cute." Behind the curtain, backstage, Amara stood alone in the narrow wings. Hair swept to the side, black velvet gown hugging her with strength. The microphone pendant around her neck glowed faintly under the lights. She wasn't the waitress tonight. She was the truth walking toward judgment. From the side, Mr. Martin gave a small nod. "Don't sing to impress. Sing because silence has robbed too many of us already." The announcer's voice boomed. "And now, a special performance by Miss Amara Lewis." The room turns. As the spotlight found her, murmurs rippled across the ballroom. People leaned forward. At Table 1, Andrew laughed aloud. "Oh, no way. That's Lemon Girl. This is going to be good." The first note falls. The pianist began. A single soft chord, then another. Then Amara stepped to the mic, closed her eyes, and sang. It wasn't loud, it wasn't showy, but it was pure, and it broke the room open like glass. The violins joined her, the melody soared. Her voice rose with it, swelling like a wave carrying every insult she'd swallowed, every moment she had been invisible, every dinner she had served in silence. Now she owned the silence, and she made it listen. A room transformed. At Table 1, Andrew had stopped laughing. His glass was halfway to his lips, frozen. His date stared slack-jawed. Whitaker Sr., the patriarch, leaned forward for the first time in the evening. His eyes narrowed, then slowly widened. All across the ballroom, forks were dropped. Conversations died mid-sentence. Guests turned in their seats. And when the final note came, long, low, soul-deep, it hung in the chandelier-lit air like the last truth in a room full of lies. Then, silence. And then, thunder. Applause erupted. People stood, not out of politeness, but because they had just witnessed something real in a room full of polished masks. The bow. Amara bowed. Martin stood beside her, clapping. The MC ran on stage. "Miss Lewis, ladies and gentlemen!" As she stepped back behind the curtain, one voice called out, "Encore!" Then another, then another. 8:53 p.m. Backstage, Magnolia Grand Hotel. Amara stood behind the curtain, chest rising, heart racing. The applause still thundered through the ballroom, not polite clapping, a standing ovation. Martin turned to her, voice low and reverent. "They stood up for you, not because you sang well, though you did, but because you made them feel again." Amara's hands trembled, clutching her pendant. The old fear still flickered, but something stronger had taken its place now. Presence. The power table reacts. Back at Table 1, Andrew Whitaker's smirk had vanished. He stared blankly at the stage, his wine untouched. His grandfather, Edgar Whitaker, Sr., leaned forward, his eyes narrowed with sharp clarity. "That girl," Edgar muttered, "has more legacy in her voice than your name ever will." Andrew shifted, uncomfortable. "She's just a waitress." Edgar turned to him coldly. "And you're just a shadow who's never built anything real." The morning after, hotel lobby. Amara reported for her shift like always, hair tied up, no makeup, uniform pressed. But something was different. People stared, whispers followed. At the concierge desk stood a sharply dressed man with a silver tie clip and a leather briefcase. Miss Amara Lewis? Yes, 4 weeks later. The Velvet Room, downtown Chicago. The marquee outside the velvet-draped jazz lounge read, "One night only, Amara Lewis, the Velvet Voice." Inside, every table was booked. The crowd buzzed with anticipation. Journalists, critics, artists, hotel staff, strangers who had only seen a clip but couldn't forget the feeling. Backstage, Amara stood before a full-length mirror, not trembling, not hiding, just breathing. Her gown shimmered like midnight water. Her microphone pendant rested against her collarbone, no longer a symbol of hope, but of arrival. The man in the back row. In the last row, near the shadows, Andrew Whitaker sat alone. No date, no entourage, just silence. He wasn't there to be seen. He was there to listen. The lights dim. Martin took his place at the piano once again. Spotlights softened. And from the side of the stage, Amara walked out. Not as a waitress, not as the girl from the kitchen, but as the woman who silenced an entire ballroom with nothing but truth and a melody. The applause roared before she even opened her mouth. But when she finally sang, it was different, more powerful. Not because she reached higher notes, but because she didn't need to prove anything anymore. She just was. The final note. As the final chorus faded, Amara held the last note not to impress, but to let go. When she opened her eyes, the entire room was standing again. Even Andrew. He didn't cheer. He didn't cry. He just nodded once and left. Backstage after the show, a reporter approached her. "Ms. Lewis, what do you